How's it going, everybody? Doing the Week 17 NFL recap video today. We'll start with the Thursday games, the Christmas Day games. The first one was the Commanders, the Cowboys at the Commanders. Dallas beats Washington 30-23 to move to 7-8-1. Washington's 4-12. Prescott 307 passing, 2 TDs, no picks. He sacked 6 times. Malik Davis has 103 yards rushing. Javonte Williams had 54 and a touchdown. Turpin had a catch for 86 yards and a TD. Jake Ferguson had the other TD. They get a half a sack from Stewart. A sack and a half from Clowney. He's still getting it done, huh? Their kicker's 3 for 4 field goals with a long of 52. And 3-3 on the extra points. Washington, Josh Johnson starts here. 198 yards, no TDs, no picks. He sacked once. Krosky Merritt has 105 yards rushing on 11 carries and 2 TDs. Nice game there. Deebo Samuel has 2 catches for 68 yards. They get a half a sack from Wagner, 3 sacks from Newton, a sack from Barber, a sack from Von Miller, a half sack from Preston Smith. How many sacks does Von Miller have? 8. Not bad. He's 36. Still got some playing him. Their kicker's 3 of 3 on his field goals, long of 51, and 2 of 2 on the extra points. The Vikings beat the Lions 23-10 to move to 8-8. The Lions are also 8-8. Both of them are out of the playoffs. Disappointing year for the Lions. It was kind of all over the place for them. Goff, 197 yards passing, a TD, 2 picks. He sacked 5 times. Gibbs, 41 yards rushing to lead the way. St. Brown has 68 yards receiving on 8 catches. Tesla has a receiving TD. Goff fumbles 3 times and loses all of them. 5 turnovers for Goff. Gibbs also loses a fumble. So does D if you had them in fantasy. And you probably didn't. Maybe you did. Hell of a game for them. 2 sacks from Hutchinson, a sack from Anzalone, 2 sacks from Muhammad, a sack from Williams. They get 7 sacks themselves. Their kicker hits his 1 field goal and his extra point. Yeah, this is a defensive effort, and they ran the ball well, the Vikings, because Brosmer is playing quarterback for the Vikings here. I don't know who that is, but he was 9 for 16 for 51 yards. He was sacked 7 times. He had no TDs and no picks. Addison has 1 carry for 65 yards and a TD. Jones Sr. has 53 yards and a TD rushing. Jefferson, 30 yards receiving to lead the way. Sack from Cashman, a sack and a half from Van Ginkel, half sack from Turner, half a sack from Jackson, and a sack from Smith. They get a pick from Smith and a pick from Murphy Jr. Their kicker hits all his field goals with a long 56 on both his extra points. So I want to see, there had to have been a return for a TD, I would think, right? No, there was not. Still, they generate 6 turnovers, and they get a bunch of 6 sacks as well. Hell, of a game for them. They started to play better, the Vikings. They were struggling with injuries most of the year. A lot of teams were. Denver struggles to beat the Chiefs that have nobody playing. 20-13 to move to 13-3. KC 6-10. Denver did win the division because the Chargers lost. We'll get to that game next. Bo Nix, 182 yards, a TD and a pick. He sacked once, but his QBR 77.3. It's because he ran for a TD, I think. Harvey, 43 yards rushing to lead the way. Nix did have the receiving TD. Cortland Sutton, 4 catches for 40 yards. Harvey has a receiving touchdown. He's a nice little player, Harvey. He's a rookie, and he's got like 12, 13, 14 total touchdowns. Pretty good receiving back. It still sucks that Dobbins is hurt because he was playing so well, and they definitely need him. Maybe he's back for the playoffs. They get a half sack from Ellis, a half sack from Tillman. That's it. They only have 1 sack. So through it all, the Chiefs' line still doing well. Their kicker's 2-2 on his extra points and his field goals. I don't know what this guy's Oladokin passes playing for the... Because Minshew is gone. Obviously, Mahomes is gone. He's 13-22 for 66 yards and a TD, no picks. He's sacked once. Hunt has 38 yards rushing to lead the way. Kelsey, 5 catches, 36 yards. Smith has the receiving TD. They get a sack from Chris Jones, that's it, and a pick from Bolton. Their kicker's 2 for 2 with a long 53, and he hits his extra point. I'll talk about Denver here for a second. I've talked about them in the past in videos, and I've been saying this for a while now in the recaps that I've been doing. Anything they do in the playoffs, I feel, is going to be tight. It's going to be a close game, and they're going to win or lose. Like, they're either going to lose or win close games. I don't think there's going to be blowouts either way. You never know, but Denver's going to be the team that loses their first playoff game, and it's going to be like, yep, they were frauds, and it's going to be like, yeah, they're fraudulent offensively. Defensively, they're still solid. You know, for here and there, they'll get a little roughed up defensively, but they are a solid defensive team. Offensively, it's like hit or miss. Like, it's annoying, but when they lose that first playoff game, it'll be, yeah, they're fucking frauds. We'll see if they do or not. I was told in the comments that, because they have the same record as the Patriots, but they do hold the tiebreaker over the Patriots. So they do have to play this final game against the Chargers, who are sitting Herbert because they're in the playoffs and they can't win the division. So hopefully they just win that game, get home field, and get the bye, and hopefully do something. I'd like to see him win at least a playoff game. Obviously, you'd love to see him win a Super Bowl, but I'm realistic. I don't know how that's going to work for them, but who knows? If they pick up the pace offensively, great. But I don't know. Because if their D's having a rough game, they're going to be fucked. 9 out of 10 times they're going to be fucked. Speaking of the Chargers, the Texans beat them 20-16 to move to 11-5. Chargers also 11-5. Stroud 244 passing, 2 TDs, 2 picks. He's not sacked. Woody Marks 71 yards rushing to lead the way. Higgins had 2 catches for 88 yards and a TD. Receiving, Noel had a receiving TD as well. They get a sack from Hunter, a half sack from Anderson Jr., 2 sacks from Barnett, a sack from Autry, a half sack from Rankins, a pick from Al-Shahir. Their kicker hits everything. Chargers, Herbert, 236, a TD, and a pick. He sacked 5 times. He leads the team with rushing with 37 yards. Hampton has a rushing TD. Gadsden has a receiving TD. He's a rookie. He's the rookie, right? He's the second Gadsden. I think his dad was a receiver, right? For the Dolphins for a little bit. I don't know who else he was on. Johnson, 5 for 98, receiving to lead the way. Herbert fumbles twice, but doesn't lose them. They get no sacks. James Jr. and Molden have the picks. Their kicker does miss a field goal and an extra point. So there's your 4-point difference in the game. That could have been a 60-yard field goal. Who knows? These might have been Saturday games, actually. Baltimore beats the Packers 41-24 to move to 8-8. Packers are 9-6-1. So the Ravens and the Steelers will be playing for the division, I believe, on Sunday, because they're playing each other. Huntley, 170. Oh, that's right. Jackson didn't even start either. Huntley, 107 yards. A TD, no picks. He sacked once. Henry goes off. 216 yards rushing on 36 carries. And 4 TDs. That might have won somebody's fantasy league. I don't know. Did fantasy go? Fantasy went... I'm not even sure. Fantasy usually went through 15 weeks. They didn't usually do fantasy the last week of the season. And they should be doing an extra week now because it's 17 weeks, right? I don't remember fantasy ever going final week because people are resting and stuff. It usually ended. The playoffs usually started like maybe the 14th week. I don't know. I can't remember. I haven't played fantasy football since 2017 or 18. I can't remember. Zay Flowers, 30 yards receiving a TD. You get a half sack from Robinson, a sack and a half from Jones, and a pick from Humphrey. Their kicker hits everything. Love is also hurt here. Packers are in the playoffs, but the Bears won the division. Malik Willis, 288 yards a TD, no picks. I don't know if he gets banged up because a guy named Clayton Tune comes in and has 8 yards passing and a pick on 1 of 4. Malik Willis has 60 yards rushing and 2 TDs to lead the way as well. Watson, 5 catches, 113 yards and a TD. Willis does lose a fumble. They get the sack from Walker. Their kicker hits everything. Packers are in the playoffs, but struggling a little bit. Steelers could have won the division, but they didn't because they lost to the Browns 13-6 to go to 9-7. Cleveland is 4-12. Myles Garrett did not get the sack to break the record in 16 games. He might still break the record, but then it will be in 17, and people will go 17 to do it. Rodgers, 168 yards, no TDs, no picks. He's sacked twice. Warren, 64 yards rushing to lead the way. Freiermuth, 3 catches, 63 yards to lead the way. 2 sacks from Highsmith, a pick from Sawyer, and a pick from Duger. I don't know. Their kicker misses a field goal. Sanders, a TD, 2 picks, 186 yards passing. He's sacked 2 times. Samson leads the way with 27 yards rushing. Judy, 5 catches, 54 yards, lead the way. Fannin Jr. has the receiving touchdown. Delpit has a sack. Wright has a sack. Their kicker hits everything. Sanders has done all right. Somebody was telling me in a comment that they were trying to sabotage him. The Browns, I don't know. I have to still do a sports ramble. I said I would discuss that, but I've not done that ramble yet. But who knows? It'll probably be their starter next year. Next game. The Patriots destroy the Jets 42-10 to move to 13-3. The Jets are 3-13. God, the Jets, man, they're a fucking franchise. Drake May, 19-21, 256 yards, 5 TDs, no picks. That might have solidified the MVP for him. Especially if they end up at the 1 seed. If Denver loses, they won't. He's sacked once. Henderson, 82 yards rushing. Stevenson has a rushing touchdown. Diggs has 6 for 101 yards receiving and a TD. Stevenson has a receiving TD. Henry has a receiving TD. Chisholm III has a receiving TD. And Hooper has a receiving TD. Pettis gets the only sack. Hawkins has a pick. Their kicker misses his only field goal attempt, but hits all his extra points. They didn't even get a bunch of turnovers or anything. It was just them scoring on probably every drive. Brady Cook was starting for the Jets, 152 yards, no TDs and a pick. He sacked 1 time. Brees Hall has 111 yards on 14 carries and a TD rushing. Mechie III has 3 catches for 41 yards. A sack from Saunders. Their kicker hits his extra point and his 1 field goal. Jets are just end the season and we'll start the cycle again. It's nuts with the Jets, and I used to not like the Jets. And the Giants too. Both of them were annoying as shit, and their fans were annoying. But the Jets, I've learned to not hate the Jets. I don't really hate them at all. I feel bad though because they have random spurts where they're good or decent. But man, they've been bad for a bit, and more than a bit. How long has it been since they made the playoffs? A long time. Something's got to change there, man. Saints beat the Titans 34-26 to move to 6-10. Tennessee's 3-13. My order's been updated. I ordered some off eBay. That just came up, like I said in my other video. They're telling me it should arrive tomorrow, which I don't think that's going to happen. That's weird that they would say that. Sorry. Tyler Shock, is that how you say his name? Somebody told me once. 333 yards, 2 TDs, no picks. Sacked twice. Estime. 94 yards rushing and a TD. Olave. 8 catches, 119 yards and a TD. Austin Jr. has their TD as well receiving. Pettis loses a fumble. They get a half sack from Davis, a sack from Jordan, sack and a half from Young, a sack from Williams. No picks. Our kicker does miss a field goal as long as 57 yards, though. 2 of 3. Cam Ward, 251, 2 TDs, no picks. He sacked 4 times for the Titans. I want to look at his stats real quick. How'd he do in his rookie year? He's not even doing that bad. 3,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, 7 picks. His QBR is bad, but he's on a bad fucking team. You can't give a guy like that shit. Unless they improve the team next year and he's awful or something. You gotta give quarterbacks like 3 years. Pollard, 85 yards rushing, lead the way. Number 85, Okonkwo, I don't know. 3 catches, 55 yards, and a TD. And the other guy, I cannot pronounce his name, Iomanor. Also has a receiving TD. Cam Ward does fumble twice and loses 1. Simmons a sack, a half sack from Harrell, and a half sack from Lynch. The kicker hits everything, and as long as field goal is 58 yards. The Jags win again. They're ripping it up. They could win there. The Jags, if somehow Denver and Patriots lost, maybe the Jags would even slip into the 1. They might be playing the... Who are they? Are they playing the Titans? Jags beat the Colts 23-17. They moved 12-4. The Colts are 8-8. The Colts fell apart. They were like 7-1. And then Jones went down. And they've sucked since. They lost some close games, but sucks for them. You know, that sucks when you're ripping it up. And everybody loves you, and the owner is on the sideline. She's hanging out with the fans and stuff. She's involved, and everybody loves it. All of a sudden, they start to lose, and she's a pile of shit. The team's garbage. Now, people still do like her, and she does seem like she's genuinely interested in the team, which is cool. It's cool to see owners of teams, like, not just like Jones. Jerry Jones almost kind of makes it more about himself. Although he just loves his team. You can't say he doesn't. He just sucks as a GM. He's a great owner, but he's a terrible GM. But sometimes owners come down on the field and it's fake. With her, it seems a little more real. We'll see, though, right? You'll see if next year they suck and stuff starts to happen. Anyway. Trevor Lawrence, 263, a TD, no TDs, and a pick. He sacked twice. Etienne Jr., 76 yards rushing. Lawrence does rush for 2 TDs. They love the rushing TDs, apparently, the QBR. Because every time you're rushing for TDs, your QBR's through the roof. Parker Washington, 8 catches for 115 yards. Myers loses a fumble. Sack from Hines Allen, a sack from Walker. A pick, 2 picks, 1 from Johnson, 1 from Jones. That kicker hits everything with a long 53. Good old Phillip Rivers, 17 of 30 for 147 yards. A TD and a pick, he sacked twice. Taylor, 70 yards rushing and a TD. Warren leads away with 43 yards receiving. Ali Cox has a TD. Receiving. I'm not even going to attempt to say this guy's last name. Number 95 has a sack. Latu has a sack. I probably said that wrong too. Pratt has a pick. The kicker hits his 1 field goal and his 2 extra points. We got another one here. It's going to be for the division. The Dolphins beat the Bucs 20-17 in a battle for Florida. I love how Florida does have a team in the north of the state, with Jacksonville in the central part of the state, with the Bucs in the southern part of the state. With the Dolphins, they're like perfectly placed. They beat him 2017. Both teams are 7-9. Bucs are going to be playing the Panthers this week, I think, for the division. So the winner of that division, if the Bucs win the division, it will be at 8-9. I'll have to look. They might both be 7-8. Or 7-9, sorry. Yeah, they would both have to be 7-9. 7-9, right? That's the bad division. That's the weak division. Every year, there's a shitty division, and there's the shitty one. I remember Denver's division sucked. Like 8-8 would win the division. It was that bad. And there's been years where 7-9's winning the division. The Rams, I think, won the division 7-9 once. You shouldn't get a home playoff game. Did they ever change that? If you have a losing record as your division winner, all you should get is in the playoffs. You should not host a playoff game. You should 100% play. If the other team you're supposed to play has a winning record, better record than you, I don't give a shit. They should have the home field. You don't deserve home field with a losing record. Baker Mayfield, Mayfield 346, 2 TDs, 2 picks, he sacked 3 times. They do not run the ball well. 53 yards on 16 carries as a team. McMillan, 7 catches, 14 yards. Godwin has 7 catches, 108 yards and a TD. Mike Evans with another receiving TD. Mayfield fumbles twice and loses 1. DB has a sack. Logan Hall has a sack. Their kickers 1 of 2 on his field goals, which was the difference. 2 on his extra points. Quinn Ewers is starting now for the Dolphins. 2 got benched. 172 yards, 2 TDs, no picks. He sacked twice. His QBR sucks. It's at 34. Because he didn't run for any touchdowns. He ran the ball 4 times for 5 yards. Achan, 83 yards rushing. Wright has 56 yards rushing. Weiss Jr. has 1 catch for 63 yards and a TD. Dolchich, 5 catches, 58 yards and a TD. They get a sack from Dodson, 2 sacks from Bradley Chubb, former Bronco. Marshall Jr. has a pick and Davis has a pick. Their kicker hits everything. We'll find out right now. Seahawks. Oh no, the Panthers are 8-8. So the Panthers lose the division. They'll go to 8-9. So they can win the division with a winning record. So I take that back. They will have a winning record if they win a division. But they most likely will have a worse record than whoever they play in the playoffs. The first game, if they win. So they're 8-8. Seattle beats them 27-10 to move to 13-3. They're 8-8. Seattle's like the Jags almost. They're like a quiet 13-3. I would say Denver's a 13-3, quiet 13-3, but they're not. Because teams are calling them the fraud. So they are being talked about. Sometimes positively, but also negatively. Darnold, 147 yards TD and a pick, he sacked 3 times. Charbonnet, 110 yards, rushing and 2 TDs. Number 11, Jackson Smith. I can never say that last name. 9 catches, 72 yards. He leads the league in receiving, I believe. Barner has a receiving TD. Darnold fumbles twice and loses 1. Lawrence has a sack. Mayfield has a sack. Love has a pick. The kicker hits everything. Bryce Young, 50... I thought I read that wrong. 14-24, 54 yards. No TDs and a pick. He sacked twice. Dowd was 59 yards rushing. Bryce Young does rush for a TD. Their leading receiver has 2 catches for 16 yards. Hubbard loses a fumble. Morig has a sack. Scroton has a sack. Wanham has a sack. Mike Jackson with a pick. Their kicker hits his 1 field goal and his 1 extra point. Bengals beat up on the Cardinals 37-14 to move to 6-10. Arizona's 3-13. Brissett 2 TDs, no picks, 4 sacks for the Cardinals, 212 yards. They run the ball 42 yards on 13 carries as a team. Wilson 5 catches, 89 yards and a TD. McBride 10 catches, 76 yards and a TD. I think he broke the record for catches by tight end. This guy, he's like 113 catches. Hell of a season. Half sack from Simon, a sack from Campbell, a sack from Tomlinson, and a half sack from Collins. The kicker hits his 2 extra points. He did not attempt any field goals. Joe Burrow, 305 yards, 2 TDs, no picks. He sacked 3 times. Flacco comes in briefly, 3 for 5, 24 yards. Chase Brown, 22 yards, 22 carries, 101 yards. Rushing, 2 TDs. Perrine, has a rushing TD as well. Jamar Chase, 7 catches, 60 yards, 2 receiving TDs. Sack from Murphy, sack from Johnson, sack from Slayton Jr., sack from Stewart. He hits his one field goal to kicker, 57-yarder. He misses an extra point. Giants beat up on the Raiders. This is a battle for the first pick, I think, at the time. Giants beat the Raiders 34-10 to move to 3-13. Raiders are 2-14. The Raiders are god-awful. And they're just like, everybody's saying they're tanking. They're putting guys on the IR that are like not even hurt or some shit. I don't know. Jackson Dart, 207 yards, no TDs, no picks. He sacked twice. But once again, he's got an 80 QBR because he rushes with 2 TDs. Tracy Jr. had 62 yards rushing. Robinson has 113 yards receiving on 11 catches. They get a sack from Flanagan Foles, sack and a half from Burns, sack from Alexander, half sack from Carter, a pick from number 58, a pick from Belton. The kicker hits everything. They do get a return TD of 95 yards. Kick return or TD for 95 yards from Banks as well. Sometimes I miss the kick returns or the punt return TDs. Geno Smith, a TD, 2 picks, 176 yards. He's sacked 3 times. Pickett comes in 2 for 2, 16 yards. John T, 60 yards rushing, sorry. Mayer, 89 yards receiving on 9 catches to lead the way for the Raiders. I was going to call him Oakland. They got a sack from Hemingway and a sack from Kuntz. Now the kicker hits his extra point and his one field goal. God, the Raiders are terrible. Here's a battle. The Eagles beat the Bills 13-12. Both teams are 11-5. Jalen Hurts 110 yards, TD, no picks. He's sacked once. Barkley 68 yards rushing. A.J. Brown 5 catches, 68 yards, lead the way. Goddard has 3 catches for 8 yards and a TD. 2.7 yard average. 2 sacks from Hunt, a sack from Phillips, a sack from Ajomo, a sack from Carter. No picks, no kick returns. Their kicker hits everything. Josh Allen, 262 yards, passing, no TDs, no picks. He sacked 5 times. 74 yards rushing for Cook, third. Allen has 2 rushing TDs. This guy always has to get his TDs somehow. I want to see how many TDs the quarterbacks have in total this year. It's got to be like well over 100. It's going to be 200 TDs. I'm saying all the quarterbacks in the league rushing TDs. How many does Allen have? Like 16? He could be an MVP candidate too, but he's got 25 pitches. He's more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns. That'd be funny. And he does not. 14 rushing TDs. His last 3 years, 15 rushing TDs, 12 rushing TDs, 11. That is huge for fantasy. I remember, real quickly, it was Cam Newton's rookie year, and I selected him. I said Eli Manning was my first QB. I took him in like the 8th round or something. And then I took Cam Newton in like the 2nd to last round. And ended up starting him pretty much the whole year. I think I ended up trading Manning. He had a great rookie year, Newton. Not a ton of passing TDs, but he had like 14 rushing TDs. And those are huge. Because in our league, did we give 4 points for a passing TD? No, maybe we had it as 6 anyways. It didn't matter. But because he got the rushing yards as well. It was huge. You have a quarterback that throws 20 passing TDs. Say he has a low amount of picks. But he runs for like 14 rushing TDs. It's like awesome. Like, Cooks had 101 yards. Brandon Cooks, 4 catches, 100 yards receiving. Allen does fumble twice and loses one. Half sack from Milano and a half sack from Rousseau. Their kicker misses his extra point, which was the deciding point in the game. This is probably the game of the week here. This is a Sunday night game, I believe. The 49ers beat the Bears 42-38. A shootout, as they say. Bears 11-5. They won the division. San Francisco was 12-4 with the injuries they had. Not Mike Shanahan. Shanahan's kid, Kyle Shanahan. Hell of a coach. Hasn't won that Super Bowl yet. But man, the dude can coach. He gets it done with the players he have. And he's a true quarterback whisperer, as the analysts like to say. Almost any quarterback they have, he'll make decent. He knows how to play to their strengths. Mike Shanahan, his dad, was the same way. He got Jake Plummer. He did well with Brian Greasy, too. Obviously, had Elway. He coached the Raiders in, like, the 80s for, like, a year and change. And then hated the Raiders because, like, Al Davis owed him money. And then, like, made it a point to beat them as much as possible when he's coaching Denver. But he played, like, Mike Shanahan will play to your quarterback strength. Tons of bootlegs with Jake Plummer. Jay Cutler did well under him. Griffin III did well for that 1 year. And then Shanahan got him injured because he plays the guy until he's going to break. Because he's a dick. I don't know. Anyway. This is a hell of a game for both teams, though. Caleb Williams, 330 yards passing, 2 TDs, no picks. He's not sacked. Swift, 54 yards rushing and 2 TDs. Burden III, 8 catches, 430 yards and a TD. Loveland, 6 catches, 94 yards and a receiving TD. They get a sack from Booker. That's the only sack. They do get a pick return touchdown from Edwards for 34 yards. The kicker hits all his extra points and his 1 field goal. Purdy, 303 yards, 3 TDs, a pick. He sacked once. McCaffrey, a $140 rushing and a TD. Purdy rushes for 2 TDs. Persall, 5 catches, 85 yards. Tongas, I don't know how to say his name, Tongs, 7 catches, 60 yards and a TD. Jennings has a receiving TD, and number 44 is receiving TD. I think he's the fullback, or is he another? Wait, no, he can't be a fullback. They still use fullbacks, or is he another tight end? I don't know. He has his number 44 is the number of a fullback. No sacks. The kicker 6 of 6 on his extra points. So this was not a defensive struggle. And they're playing for the division next week, too. The 49ers, there's 3 games next week that are going to decide the division. The NFC West, the AFC, what do they call it? Is it the Central or the North? It's the North, right? The Steelers are the North. And the NFC South. All right, the final game. Rams lose to the Falcons 27-24 to go to 11-5. Falcons are 7-9. The Rams cannot win the division. Stafford, 2 TDs, 3 picks. He sacked 3 times, 2 for 69 yards passing. Williams, 92 yards rushing. Smith, 67 yards receiving to lead the way. Ferguson and Puka have receiving TDs. They get no sacks. The kicker hits everything. Good old Kirk Cousins, 126 yards of TD, no picks. There's another guy who Shanahan coached, I think, briefly too, right? He drafted Griffin, and then he also drafted Cousins in the same draft because he knew Robert Griffin III. That dude was built like he was like a slender quarterback. There's no way, and he ran a lot. He was good at it, and a good quarterback when he played. The problem was he was destined to get hurt. He was not built like a Cam Newton or a Roethlisberger or these bigger quarterbacks that can run and knock dudes down. Like a lot of the guys, even like a Hurts and Love, Josh Allen, they're all like Griffin was tiny. I feel compared to them too, and he did get hurt. And then Shanahan played him when he shouldn't have, and he ruined his career. So he kind of knew he was going to ruin his career. So he had another quarterback just in case. Robinson, 195 yards and a TD, rushing, so nice game for him. And he also has a receiving TD. Sills, the 5th, 3 catches, 37 yards. They get a sack from Floyd, a sack from 98, and a sack from Dorless. 2 picks from Watts, and Bates Jr. has 1 pick for 34 yards and a touchdown on that pick. Their kicker does miss a field goal along with 56. So there you go. I said there's 3 games that are for the division next week. Other things are in play, 1 seeds and everything else. But yeah, we'll be back with next week's. I'll do next week's, and then a quick player preview on the top of that as well. So I will be doing the recap next week. I will be doing Premier League recap next week as well. But yeah, thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.